In this video, let's talk about some initial thoughts from the Chiefs versus Texans game, give out some game balls on the offensive and defensive side of the ball, and then share some concerns that I've seen happen to this team over the past couple of wins that could bleed over into the postseason. But first, how about those? Well, guys, that was a crazy game. The Chiefs pulled out the W, but had to go into overtime with the worst team in the NFL, and Patrick Mahomes had to play absolutely perfect in order to get the W. So in this video, we're going to talk about it. This is my initial post-game thoughts, give out game balls, share some concerns, and with all that being said, let's get into this video. I mean, 2 back-to-back wins that just make you absolutely stressed to the nils. Yeah, definitely some concerns, some things you got to clean up, man. Let's just be real. The Texans aren't a good team. They're one of the worst teams in the entire NFL, and they still put up 24 on the Chiefs and took them into overtime. So hats off to the Texans. I mean, there's probably some Texan fans in here. It's no shade, but I mean, you guys know. You guys are 1-12-1, but you guys had a chance to win this game, and it was close, and it's a bit of a concerning win, back-to-back concerning wins for the Chiefs. You know, going up 27-0 against the Broncos, and then only winning by 6 in what was a very close game. And then they do win. They squeak out a win in overtime. Patrick Mahomes once again sacked on 3rd down with the game on the line because the line was not able to hold and give him time. It's a big concern. It's a big issue. Probably the biggest concern and biggest issue that the Chiefs have is going to be their tackles, and it's going to be their D-line. I am concerned. They cannot get home to the QB when they rush 4. And the tackles and the line cannot hold up for Mahomes in pressure situations, man. It's a problem. Now, they squeaked out a win. They came up big. A dub's a dub, and they're, another game closer to hopefully maybe snagging that 1 seed. I don't know if it's going to happen, but they did clinch the West. We're going to celebrate that. The Chiefs won the AFC West 7 years in a row.
Enjoy this, man. This is a big time thing to do, win the division. And then when we get home from that plane ride, we run on. We got bigger goals in mind. Right. Let's go. Chiefs on 3. 1, 2, 3. Chiefs.
In this league, you want to win, you got to play a clean game. Chiefs 2 turnovers. Patrick Mahomes, he fumbled once but recovered. Then Juju fumbled, and that was overturned on a challenge by the Texans. Good challenge by them. It was a bit of a confusing play to me, if I'm going to be honest. Juju was hit, drove to the ground, but was kind of bobbling it on the way down. So that was a turnover. Then Isaiah Pacheco clearly fumbled around the 18-yard line earlier in the game, and it gave the Texans the ball at the 17. And they drove up the field and scored real quick on a Davis Mills scramble to the left. I mean, imagine the Chiefs don't turn the ball over on those 2 times, and they score. The Texans got 14 points off those 2 turnovers. So you're talking about, let's say the Chiefs get a touchdown and a field goal on the drives that they had turnovers on, and the Texans got 0. I mean, it's a whole different ball game. Now I'm a bit concerned on the defensive side of the ball. The Chiefs defense, guys, could not stop the Texans. The Texans had wide receiver 1 out, Brandon Cooks. Nico was out, wide receiver 2. Dameon Pierce, running back 1, out. They're running 2 quarterbacks because they don't know who's better, because neither of them are that good. And the Chiefs defense couldn't stop them now. To be fair, they had a couple plays that were good. In overtime in particular, Frank Clark strip sacking the ball, knocking it out of Davis Mills' hands when he scrambles. And I know there were some questionable calls, so I understand that affects the stats a little bit there. But god dang, dude. Stressful win. A win is a win. I'm going to freaking take it. We got to give out some game balls, man. Patrick Mahomes, 36 for 41. You want to talk about that? 36 for 41, 336 yards. Chiefs do not win this game without Patrick Mahomes, averaging 8.2 yards per reception. 2 TDs. He did get sacked twice. Once was on that 3rd down in overtime. Big sack. It sucks, man. The Chiefs lead the league in passes over 20 yards, but there's multiple examples of him not being able to go to a deeper route that develops and they're open and they win their route because the line cannot hold. So he did get sacked twice. You have Driscoll in there and Davis Mills. I mean, Davis Mills was 50% completion percentage. 2 TDs, though. Given up on short fields from Chiefs turnovers. I mean, they only had 98 rushing yards. They had 129 receiving yards, but they had a short field twice on those turnovers and got 14 out of it. Pacheco, 15 for 86, man. 5.7 yards per carry. This is Pacheco's 6th game with over 80 yards from scrimmage. Isaiah Pacheco was 3 yards off of having 100 yards from scrimmage. Jerick McKinnon was 10 for 52. And Patrick Mahomes had some key scrambles. 5 for 33, averaging 6.6 yards per carry and a touchdown. Jerick McKinnon with the game-sealing touchdown. Receiving, Travis Kelce, 10 for 100. Another 100-yard game for Kelce, light work. Juju Smith-Schuster, 10 for 88. 6 different receivers caught a pass, or 7. Jerick McKinnon, 8 for 70 and a touchdown. And then he had 52 on the ground. This man had 132 yards from scrimmage. He basically had that much last week too, and he has 2 touchdowns. Bro, the value of Jerick McKinnon, we cannot overlook the value that the 30-year-old veteran running back, 9th year in the league, is bringing to the Chiefs. He is going all the way freaking off. How I wish he was only 25. And it could be him and Pacheco for the foreseeable future. You got multiple fumbles, though. 3. 2 lost. That's the big one. Now, Willie Gay recovered one, which was huge. Nick Bolton, once again, led in tackles, had 2 QB hits. Justin Reed had a tackle for loss. Frank Clark, man. 5 tackles, a sack, a tackle for loss, and the strip. Chiefs had 20 first downs to 8. They were 6 for 12 on third downs, about average. The Chiefs are roughly just over 50% on third downs normally. Both teams had 12 drives, but dude, the Chiefs averaged 6.6 yards a drive. Texans 3.8. Now, dude, Mahomes had like 14 or 15 completions in a row, a career high. It was 20? It was 20 completions in a row? Oh my gosh. 20 completions in a row. You can't blame the 2 turnovers on Mahomes. I'm pretty convinced, man, if they didn't turn over the ball, they would have drove down and got some points on the board. Chiefs 2 for 3 in the red zone. They did lose 2 fumbles. Another concern was going to be Harrison Butker's missed field goal at the end of the game, and he missed a PAT. Should have never went into overtime. But there you go. Jerick McKinnon is going to get that game ball on offense. Well-deserved, back-to-back legendary games. We're going defense. Frank Clark on defense. 5 tackles, a sack, a tackle for loss, and swatted the ball out at the end of the game. So you've got Jerick McKinnon getting the offensive game ball. 2 touchdowns, over 100 yards from scrimmage, again for the 2nd game in a row. Cannot be understated. Frank Clark, a sack, tackle for loss, multiple tackles, and the strip at the end of the game. Huge game for Frank, man, who's been battling those chronic stomach issues. Obviously, we could probably give a 3rd game ball to Patrick Mahomes, 20 completions in a row, only 5 incompletions. This is unbelievable. 36 for 41, 336 yards, averaging 8.2 yards per completion, 2 touchdowns, man. One was a rushing touchdown. So he had 2 touchdowns in the air, and then he actually had 1 touchdown on the ground. Between McKinnon and Mahomes, man, they both need a game ball. McKinnon, 10 carries for 52 yards, 8 receptions, for 70 yards, 2 TDs total. 1 in the air, 1 on the ground. Mahomes, 2 in the air, 1 on the ground. Mahomes total between rushing yards and receiving yards had 369 total yards. You don't win this game without Patrick Mahomes. You don't win this game without Jerick McKinnon. Now, greatest concerns? 2 concerns that come off the top of my head here, guys. The Chiefs have gone 9 games in a row with a turnover, with at least 1 turnover. 5 turnovers in the last 2 games. Mahomes threw 3 picks against the Broncos. He didn't throw any picks this game. It was a great game by Mahomes. We ain't going front. But a tough fumble by Juju with an overturned challenge, and then Pacheco with just a bad fumble. A bad fumble. So a concern still is turnovers 9 games in a row. Another concern is going to be the Chiefs secondary, man. I understand the Chiefs are turning over the ball, but this team is not good. The Texans weren't a good team, especially when you think about this. No shade to any Texans fan in here. They were on backups, man. Running back 1 out, wide receiver 1 out, wide receiver 2 out. They were using backups, and they were marching down the field on the Chiefs. Obviously, some people are saying refs. We could address that too. The refs were a bit of an issue, man. They threw a bunch. They picked up a few. But the Chiefs, the Chiefs were 10 times for 102 yards. At some point, man, you got to let the teams play a little bit. Now, they picked up 3 calls. Texans penalized 4 for 33. 10 for 102. Carl Cheffers, you're an absolute joke. You're an embarrassment to the entire NFL. I don't know how you still have a job after all of these years, you no good, washed up, geriatric bum. You guys know me here. I don't really complain about the refs. If the Chiefs would have lost, I wouldn't credit the refs with the loss. There's a small role, but the turnovers and the Chiefs' inability to stop the Texans' offense is 2. So with that being said, man, they got the dub. It was stressful as heck. 2 games back to back. Barely beating the Broncos. They snuck out a win, but at the same time, they got the win. The win is a win. They won the West 7 years in a row. Credit where credit is due. The Chiefs own the West. This is after all offseason. Everybody's saying the Chiefs aren't going to win the West. They traded away their best wide receiver. The Raiders got one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. They made this move. They made that move. The Chargers this, the Chargers that. Well, the Chargers can't stay healthy. Part of it's because they play on turf. They lack coaching to be able to get the job done. The Broncos, I mean, they're a train wreck. Great defense. Offense is one of the worst I've ever seen in my entire life. The Chiefs, they have their own issues. We call them out here on this channel. But they win the West again. After going young, after going in the draft, the second youngest defense in the NFL, they traded away Tyreek Hill. They did acquire MVS and Juju Smith-Schuster, drafted Sky Moore. Mahomes is making it work, barely, with 2 tackles that have given up more pressures than any other tackle duo in the NFL. Without Patrick Mahomes, his team goes 500. Is that a hot take? I don't think so. I think Mahomes is that good. And Mahomes covers up a lot of the weaknesses on this team, man. But Mahomes can't play on defense either. Definitely some concerns down the stretch, but right now, the Chiefs win the West for the 7th year in a row. Carl Cheffers is a bum. And Mahomes is a father to a lot of kids, man. He's got 2, biological kids, but he's adopted a lot more in the NFL. The Chiefs' turnover differential is one of the worst in the entire NFL, and they're one of the best teams in the league. Could you imagine if the defense had, 5, 6 more turnovers on the season and the Chiefs didn't have a turnover and at least 1 turnover in 9 games in a row? Maybe would be undefeated. I don't know. It's that crazy. 11-3 with that turnover ratio. It's absolutely insane. With the worst red zone defense in the NFL, with the most pressures given up by any tackle duo in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes says, "Over my dead freaking body." I'm glad we have Mahomes. I've been a Chiefs fan my whole life. We're in some of the best days of Chiefs Kingdom. I know some of the gripes that we have, they're minute compared to the Chiefs only winning 2 to 3 games a season for years on end, right? They've gone at least 10 plus wins 8 years in a row, I think it is. They've won the West 7 years in a row. Made the playoffs almost every year since, I don't even know what that is, since 2015, something like that. It's a great time to be a Chiefs fan, but we're not without our postseason concerns. Another issue that I haven't mentioned is special teams. You've had a couple bad returns by Pacheco. You've had some struggles with punt returning with Sky Moore. I know they've kind of replaced that out. But then the field goal thing, man. The Chiefs have missed a field goal or a PAT in more games than they've made them all. Harrison Butker, I realized, was injured. He struggled coming back from injury. But dude, Harrison Butker missed 4 points today, a PAT and a 3-pointer. Last game, missed a 3-pointer to tie it up. He had a couple good games prior to that, but coming off of his injury, missed a field goal or a PAT in 3 or 4 games in a row. With Harrison Butker gone and the backup kickers in that we brought in, they were missing stuff. It's definitely a problem. Again, you have people in chat going nuts saying fire Butker. If they were the GM, the Chiefs wouldn't have anybody. Everybody would be fired. We can't fire Butker this season. There's nobody better. Nothing we can do this season, but it's definitely an issue. You're in these playoff games. You have turnovers on offense. You have a missed PAT, a missed field goal. You ain't going to win these games in the postseason. Patrick Mahomes had to play perfect almost to win this game. Without that, it ain't a win. It's crazy. He had to play perfect. And he did. 5 incompletions, 370 total yards, and 3 TDs, 1 on the ground, 2 in the air. The Chiefs have a shot at a deep postseason run, but they cannot be doing the mistakes that they're doing. They can't be turning the ball over. The Chiefs defense has the worst red zone defense in the NFL. They've got to get some stops. The D-line has to get some pressure on the opposing quarterback. I've been saying this. You want the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl? Mahomes has to put up 30 points in every postseason game and play flawless like he did today. They put up 30 points. Patrick Mahomes had 5 incompletions, 370 yards, and 3 TDs. You want him to win? You want a deep postseason run? It's on Mahomes. Is that fair? No, not really, but it's just reality. So do I think they have a shot at a deep postseason run? Yeah, but Mahomes has to play perfect. It's the only way. And with all that being said, you got to let me know some of your takeaway thoughts on this game, Chiefs versus Texans. What were some of the biggest concerns? What were some of the biggest W's? I mean, Jerick McKinnon, dog. Patrick Mahomes, dog. Travis Kelce, let's freaking go. We had some guys step up on the defense when they needed to. Frank Clark, Willie Gay Jr. popping that ball out. So definitely some wins, definitely some concerns. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments down below. And until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those Chiefs?